All righty, folks. Thank you for joining us for our monthly workshop. Got a little tongue-tied there. My name is Eric Oliveros. I am with the sales and marketing team. I'm joined by our master of ceremonies and guru of all things QNAP, Deval Panera.
Morning, everyone.
Morning. And for those who are new to our workshop series, we host a monthly workshop, different topics. We talk about different topics, features. We show a little demos. Sometimes we have guest speakers, which today we'll have a guest speaker. I'll get into that a little bit in just a few. We have a few Q&A sessions as well too. So it gives you a chance to ask any questions about any features or anything that we've talked about today. And this month's feature, we'll be talking a little bit of how to build a surveillance environment for your home or business with QVR Pro. So just briefly, what is QVR Pro? QVR Pro is QNAP's surveillance solution software that gives you 8 embedded monitoring channels, allowing you to quickly build a home surveillance environment hosted on your QNAP NAS without any extra software needed. So today we'll be talking, we'll dive a little bit into QVR Pro. So part one, we'll talk a little bit about how QVR Pro can help safeguard your valuable assets against potential security threats. So get into the basics of QVR Pro, how you can use it in use case scenarios. Part two, we'll talk about learn how to stay on top of all your QVR Pro servers with QVR Center. So basically how to manage all your surveillance solutions that are out there that are connected with QVR Pro. Part three, we'll talk about how you can build a smart facial recognition system with one QNAP NAS using QVR Face, which is our facial recognition feature on QVR Pro. Have a quick Q&A, then dive into part four. We'll talk a little bit about one of our solutions, pretty unique solution. It's our QVP41B, which is half surveillance server and half switch. Followed up with a quick chat with Chip Watchek, Chip Watchek, who is one of our longtime partners, and he's a surveillance expert who is a master of QNAP. He's going to basically dive into how he uses QNAP, our surveillance solutions in real world applications. And then we'll have a quick Q&A to wrap things up. So without any further ado, let's dive into learn how QVR Pro can help safeguard valuable assets against potential security threats. And I'll pass it over to Deval.
All right, thank you very much, Eric. So good morning, everyone. My name is Deval. I'm the product manager here at QNAP. So today we'll be focusing more on our surveillance solution, especially the QVR Pro. We can also look at a small demo for QVR Face as well. And then we're just going to talk about a little bit about the QGD or QVP41B, which is our all-in-one surveillance solution. So let's get started. So first, as Eric mentioned, the first part is more discussing for QVR Pro. So a QVR Pro, again, is our built-in or our add-on application for most of our NASs that is available to download from our App Center. It does surveillance recording. So if you have some IP cameras that you want to record, onto your QVR NAS, your QNAP NAS, you can use the QVR Pro to be able to record those cameras. Also, we have dedicated QVP appliances, which is basically just a NAS-like device, but it only records cameras. It doesn't do any kind of NAS feature sets. So that's why it's called QVP, which is QVR, just QVR Pro by itself. But for our NASs that you have at home, you can actually turn them into a surveillance application as well. And then depending upon the processing power for your NAS, you can actually use the NAS while using it for surveillance purpose as well. So you can, if you have a file server that you're running that is not very process intensive, you can actually run the file server as well as run a QVR Pro appliance next to it. If you have a multi-core processor NAS, you can actually do that as well. You can run other applications while running QVR Pro. So so you have the advantage of running multiple different services within your QNAP NAS. So let's get started. So QVR Pro, again, is an application you can download from the App Center. Once you open the App Center, just look for QVR, and then you can download the QVR Pro application. So once you download the application, once it's installed, the first thing you have to do is it's gonna guide you through the installation process, but I'm just going to give you some basic run through of what you need to do. The first thing you need to do is recording storage space. So you need to add some recording storage space on your NAS. So in the recording storage, I already have a space added, but just to give an example, you can add another recording storage space, select the volume you have on the QVR Pro. So on the QVR, you have to have a volume created already. Without that, it's not going to run. So you can create a storage pool and the volume, or you can just create a static volume directly onto your hard drives, and then you can add that storage pool or that volume to be recorded. So remember, the space volume can be different than the QVR Pro, because the QVR, as I mentioned, the QVR can be run on multiple different, or you can run multiple services within the QNAP NAS. You can actually, instead of having, let's say, this is a 1.2 terabyte of storage space on the volume itself. So because I have other services running on that particular storage pool, like I have file services, I have virtual machines running on that volume, you can actually ask QNAP to only use a part of that. So I've only asked the QNAP QVR Pro to only use 500 gigabytes, so it doesn't utilize all of the space, all of the rest of the space. Or you can create multiple volumes if you like to, and then have one dedicated volume all to QVR Pro. To add it, you can just select the volume you want, and you can add the space out of that volume. You can also do threshold. So when it reaches 95%, the QNAP will start overwriting. You will always want to leave 5% because QVR Pro also does metadata such as motion recording, event recording. So it requires that 5% space to have that metadata space as well. So at 95%, it's going to start overwriting that data, and then so you don't run out of space. You can also name a space if you want to, if you have multiple QVR Pro spaces. I'm going to talk about why you can have a multiple space as well. The next screen is going to ask you is called spare volumes. QNAP now has the ability to now set up spare volumes for your QVR Pro appliance. So why spare volume is or is needed, or why is recommended. So let's say you have a NAS that has multiple or the QVR Pro, or using the NAS only for QVR Pro. Now, QVR Pro is, again, serverless recording, right? It's very important to make sure you have all of your recordings available on your QNAP NAS. So what a customer can actually do is they can create multiple RAID volumes on the QNAP NAS. So they can have, let's say, for 12 disk system, they can have an 8 disk RAID 5 system and just a spare 4 disk RAID 5 system. So the 8 disk RAID 5 system will be their main QVR Pro recording space, and then you can have a 4 drive RAID 5 system, or even you can do this one as well. You can actually have a 10 drive RAID 5 system or RAID 6, and then you have a 2 drive RAID 1 system. So the RAID 1 system will be a spare volume. So in case if there's something disaster that happens within that RAID 10 system or RAID 5 or RAID your main volume, the QNAP will start recording that on the secondary volume. You can also have an additional expansion bay connected to your QNAP NAS and use that as a spare volume. So in case of the main NAS, for some reason, we have multi-disk failure, or somebody just unplugged the disk, or there's some issues that happening with the main RAID, the QNAP will see that and it will start recording on the spare volume. So at least you have some space as well. So that's where spare volume can help. If you don't want to set up spare volume, just hit next and apply, and we'll start creating that the storage space for your NAS. You can also, in case, let's say if you have multiple space, you can actually ask the QNAP NAS to record certain cameras on space 1 and certain cameras on space 2. So again, going back to my example of having an expansion bay to your NAS, you can actually ask the QNAP QVR Pro to record, let's say if you have a 50 camera system, you can actually ask the QNAP NAS to record 25 cameras on space on the head unit, and you can actually have the rest of the 25 cameras recording on the expansion bay. So you can actually choose that as well, or you can actually choose where you want to record that. So in case, for example, you can actually record certain streams on space 1, and you can actually record event streams. So you can actually ask the QNAP NAS to record the 24-hour recording, the daily recording on the built-in storage, and you can actually ask the QNAP NAS to record your events on an expansion base. So at least your events are stored in an out of NAS system. So in case if there's any disaster happen, you can actually get all your event recordings back into your NAS. So that is also another advantage of having multiple space. You can actually ask the QNAP NAS to record your regular recordings into the main NAS, and then you can actually have event recording on an external hard drive like a TR002 or TR004, which is just a small 2 or 4 bay unit, or even our TL systems that are 4 and 8 bay units that you can actually use just to record your events, and your regular recordings are within your NAS. So you can actually use that as well. So that is another advantage of having multiple storage spaces for your QVR Pro. We also do recording backups as well now. So you can actually now QNAP NAS can actually, or QVR Pro, you can actually back up your recordings onto another QNAP NAS or even another SMB server. It could be a computer within a shared space, or it could be another NAS with just a shared space. So I'm gonna give you an example of how to create a backup task. So you can say name this as cam1 backup. I'm just gonna use the same NAS as just an example for this workshop. So you can actually enter the IP address for that particular device and enter the username password for the NAS and enter the shared folder for that NAS. And I'm gonna hit test just to make sure that it is working fine and hit next. And now you can select which camera you want to back up. You can select the camera number 1 and hit next. And you can actually ask the QNAP NAS what you want to back up. You can actually back up a certain date and time, or you can back up the last few days of the recording. You can actually do regular recordings only, or you want to do event recording only. So you have to select what you want to do, or you can do both. You can also do standard format. So if you take that hard drive or plug into another, so if you're doing this backup onto a regular computer, you can actually just play, because if it's standard format MP4, you can only, or you can play back on any computer. Just if you have an MP4 player, you can just back up to any computer. So that's another option. Or you can do QVR Pro format, where you can actually, you have to have another QVR Pro system to import it. So you can, once you back up this into QVR Pro format, you have to have it imported. Now, certain regulations on maybe another country doesn't allow you to back up or provide your recordings in an instance or as an MP4 format, because they won't accept it. They could be edited as well. So you cannot provide it into an MP4 format. You have to provide it in a proprietary format. Then you have to select QVR Pro format. So you can also do that as well. And then once you back up to a QVR Pro format, you have to actually do an import to actually read that particular data. So you have to do an import recording, and then you should select that particular data point, or select that particular folder that you backed up to restore that all of the data. So that's another advantage. So that is how you can actually create recording space on your QNAP QVR Pro. Another thing I want to do is show you how to add a camera. Now, to add a camera is pretty simple. You can actually click on the camera settings and hit add. QNAP will actually search on your network to see if there's any cameras available. Now, all of the compatible cameras will show up as on this particular list. You can select that and hit add. Like I have a QNAP a USB camera connected, so I can select that, hit next, enter the login information of that particular camera, hit test to ensure that it's working, and hit next to add that camera. I already have certain cameras added, so I'm just gonna edit that camera. So to edit the camera, you have to click on the edit button. As I mentioned, enter the IP address, the login information, the port number if it's something different, and hit test, ensure that the camera is working fine. But another thing I want to show you is stream and recording. Now, most of the camera out there supports multiple streams. What I mean by multiple streams is you can actually have multiple streams coming out of the camera. So it could be stream 1, stream 2, stream 3. This particular camera can actually have up to 3 different streams. Why do you require 3 different streams? Now, I'm going to go to 3 stream settings, and then you can see the 3 different streams. Usually stream 1 is the most, or the best quality, highest frame rate, highest bit rate as well stream. So that's your main stream. Then the secondary stream will be stream 2. which is like a mid-grade quality, and then the Stream 3, which is the lowest quality for streaming. So why do you require multiple streams? So the cameras that has multiple streams, QVR Pro can take a good advantage of that. A great example I can give you is, now remember, you have limited space on your QNAP NAS, right? You don't have unlimited terabytes of space. You have certain space that you need to, that may be filled up, especially when you have a high resolution camera like a 5 megapixel, 8 megapixel cameras, right? Those high resolution, even like 2 megapixel, 3 megapixel. When you have a lot of cameras connected to QVR Pro, they can eat up the space or that space much faster. With multiple streams, you can actually control how much, or you can actually control what each stream will take, right? So for example, you can, as I mentioned, Stream 2 is like a mid-grade stream. You can actually also control this as well. So Stream 2 is like a mid-grade stream, right? So what you can actually do is you can actually set up Stream 2 to record 24 hours. So your Stream 2, which is on a lower quality, will record 24 hours. So it doesn't use that high, doesn't have high file sizes, right? So that Stream 2 can record 24 hours and does not use or does not eat up a lot of space on your QNAP NAS. And as soon as there is an event, you can set up your event as Stream 1. So in case if there's something happen, like a motion happen, QNAP can immediately switch that to Stream 1, so it can record on the camera's maximum quality. So so you can control that now, and also you can lower the bitrate. Now, if you haven't seen examples of what a bitrate, I'm sorry, not bitrate, frame rate. So if you've seen the frame rate of a camera, you can see that all the way towards the 10 frame rate, you can still, it'll be a smooth playback. Usually a human eye looks at a frame rate about 30 frames per second, so that's what the smoothest quality would be. But when there's nothing happening in front of the screen, you don't want to have 30 frames per second, right? It's just eating up unnecessary space on your QNAP NAS. So you can actually ask a QNAP NAS to either record at 10 frames per second, or even I would recommend going down to all the way to 5. You can play back that recording, set up these settings, and then go back and play back that last hour and see if you're actually satisfied with these. If you're not, then you can always bump it up or lower it down, right? So exactly. So you can actually always change the setting if you don't satisfy, but you can actually change it to 5 frames per second, so you can save more space, because remember, there's nothing happening in front of the screen. It's just doing regular recording on the front of the screen. Also, the bit rate, you can actually lower the bit rate to maybe, depending upon the camera you're using, you can actually lower the bit rate to something like 1 megabits per second, so it's not using that much space, and you're actually saving a lot of space. And also resolution, you can lower the resolution. This camera can go up to 2480 or 2048 by 1536. So I would recommend maybe something like 960 or even lower if you're okay with that. It's up to you. So, and then on the main stream, which is the highest quality stream, then you want to record at H.265 resolution at the highest resolution is available, highest frame rate that the camera has, and then the highest bit rate as well. So you can actually go up to 16. This camera can go up to 16 megabits per second. So you can actually have it at the second maximum bit rate, and also bit rate control. Make it a constant. What I mean by constant bit rate is the camera will keep the QVR Pro no matter if there's a motion on the screen or if there's no motion on the screen, QVR Pro will have its best quality it will try to extract the best quality out of the camera. But for second stream applications, you can actually change it to variable bitrate, and then quality as maybe good or medium. I would recommend good or medium, depending upon what you want. And then what variable bitrate does is that the QNAP, because it's H.265, there's no motion in front of the screen, QNAP or the H.265 will keep using or reusing the last frame, so it's saving more space. When you have variable bitrate, it just changes the bit rate that is available, or whenever there's a movement, only those pixels are changing. So variable bit rate can save more space, and because again, as I mentioned before, I'm going to keep mentioning that again and again, is whenever if there's nothing happening in front of the screen, you don't want the best quality, right? So you can actually set up constant bitrate and maximum bitrate on your motion recording or your event recording on stream 1. And on the regular recording, you just change it to variable bitrate and change it quality as medium or good, depending upon what you have. Once you have done that, hit apply, and that will start, and that will save the settings. Once you have selected correct stream settings on this page, you can make sure the stream mode is set to multiple stream. And on regular recording, you can change that to stream 1, and on event recording, change that to stream 2. So QNAP will record the camera at a lower quality when there's nothing happening in front of the screen. As soon as there's a motion, it'll bump it up to stream 1 or maximum quality the camera has to offer to have the best recording. So that's another great feature QNAP offers. You can also do auto snapshot. If the camera is pointing outside on a building, for example, we had a customer that was a construction company that was building. There was a construction going on of a building being built, right? He had auto snapshot set up and a camera pointing at that construction. So he had auto snapshot available on the maximum quality of the camera, and he set up a snapshot to be taken every 10 minutes or even every hour. And he was setting up to, let's say, you can set up to anywhere. You can do a remote destination on QNAP NAS, and he used that particular auto snapshot feature to build a video of time lapse of the actual construction happening. So that's another great feature QNAP offers. You can do it for any other purposes as well. If something happening on the front of the camera and you want to just capture a time lapse of that particular recording, you can do auto snapshot. So that's another great feature as well. And once you have changed all the settings, hit apply, and that's how easy it is to add a camera. Let's close the settings. The next I'm going to show you is event recording. So event recording is where you want to record your motion, right? So I already have 2 motion events added. I'm just going to go through quickly how to add an event. So to add an event, hit add, and you can select the name of this particular event. So you can say motion recording on motion on cam 1. Once you have once you have selected this, you can enable. You have to enable it basically if you want to have this. Now, schedule is where you can actually control when this motion or when this event is started. Now, if it's if it's an office, if you're recording inside a building of an office, there's a lot of motion already going on. Or best example, it's a restaurant, right? The restaurant opens from 6 in the morning until 10 in the evening or 10 at night. Now, if the camera is pointing inside the restaurant, then you're gonna have motion every single second, right? There's a lot of people moving around. You have restaurant workers, you have waiters, you have cooks that are already inside that restaurant. There's constant movement, right? So if you have motion recording during those hours, you're gonna have a constant bombarding of notification on your phone or email or whatever you set up. And then the green and the bar on, I'm going to show you the bar at the bottom of the playback, it's always going to be pink because you always have a constant motion. So that's not going to make sense for you. Now, after the restaurant closes, yes, there will be no motion. So in case if somebody breaks in, and that's where the motion is. So that's where you're going to be, you want to make sure you get notified if there's any motion happening inside of the restaurant when the restaurant is closed. Why is there a motion within the restaurant when there's no one inside the restaurant? So that's another great feature QNAP offers, is scheduling that event. So you can actually set up a new schedule for yourself and say active. If the restaurant closes on Sunday, then you want to make sure that's active. Now, as I mentioned, it's open from 6 to 10, right? So I'm going to select inactive, and from 6 through maybe 10, Monday through Saturday, I want to have no motion event on, or no motion for this particular camera. And then from rest of the days and rest of the hours, I want to make sure that I'm being notified. So you can actually set up as just say restaurant open and hit apply. So once you have done that, hit next. Now we follow the if this then that feature. So if you want to start, what triggers this particular event? So you click on add, and then you have a list of triggers that the QNAP offers. As I mentioned, we have motion recording, we have alarm inputs. So some cameras have alarm input, physical alarm inputs. They can actually connect it to, let's say, a door. If the door opens, the alarm is triggered, QNAP will start recording that. We have audio detection, we have cross-line detection. This depends upon the camera. If the camera offers cross-line detection, we support that as well. Digital auto tracking. We have all these features that QNAP offers, and also something from your recording storage as well. I'm going to show you why you need that as well. So, but you have all these features. Let's focus on motion detection. So once you've selected motion detection, which camera you want to trigger motion detection. So now, before you do that, you have to ensure that motion detection on the camera itself is turned on. Now, QNAP offers to have motion detection on a couple of cameras in case if the camera doesn't support motion detection, but it's only available on 2 cameras instead of all the cameras. So if you have a 10 camera system or 20 camera system, QNAP would not be able to or would not be able to support that, because if the QNAP NAS has to see the recording and it has to give me 1 second, let me have a that's it. Sorry about that. So let's say if somebody has to, if the QNAP NAS is the one that's actually looking at the video and determining if there's a motion or not, that's going to put a lot of strain on the CPU or with the video card of the QNAP NAS. So we only offer up to 2 cameras that can actually record motion by itself. But if the camera itself supports it, the QNAP doesn't have to do that much work. It depends upon the camera, because the camera triggers motion. The QNAP just the camera will tell the QVR Pro there's a motion. The QNAP just records that. So enable motion recording on the camera. Once you've done that, select that camera, hit OK, and then what happens when that motion is triggered? So, and that would be the then option, right? So you can select you want to record that camera, right? So you obviously want to record that camera, so you can add that first thing. Second thing, you can also add, and also you can actually add multiple different actions as well. So then what QNAP wants, what other thing you QNAP want to do? You can actually set up an email notification to send you an email of that motion being detected, or you can set up a push notification or even SMS as well. A push notification is where you will receive, if you have QVR Pro installed on your phone, you can get up a push notification saying that the motion was detected. So you can say what message you want to see. So you said motion on cam 1, and then which user you want to send this notification to, and then you can hit OK. And so these are the 2 triggers that QNAP will do if there's a motion detected on that camera. You can also add another one if you wanted to call alarm output. So if, let's say, going back to the restaurant example, you can actually install if the camera itself has a physical alarm port or alarm output port. Usually camera have alarm input, alarm output. So if you have an alarm output port on that camera, you can actually install a siren, a physical siren that makes a loud noise, and put that in the alarm output port. So if the motion is detected, QNAP will also trigger that alarm output port of that particular camera, and the siren will start loud, or it will be a loud siren within the restaurant. So the intruder or would know that, oh, something got triggered. So if you have a physical door security and that did not get triggered, this will be another backup method to trigger a kind of a siren, right? So if the intruder already know your door password or your system alarm password, and he entered and got inside the restaurant somehow without triggering the alarm door, the QNAP itself will trigger a second alarm, so you have a secondary failover system. So that's another feature that we recommend installing, or QNAP offers for your QNAP now. So that's another great feature that I would recommend using as well. And once you set up all of that, another thing I want to show you quickly is camera control. If it's a PTZ camera, or if you have another PTZ camera in another part of the restaurants, you can actually ask the QNAP NAS to turn that camera to another location. So because remember, PTZ camera can turn on all the way around, right? So QNAP can actually trigger that. You can actually trigger another camera to see at another location if it's a PTZ camera. So that's another feature that QNAP offers as well. So all of that, once you've triggered all of that, hit next, and you can start, and the rule will get created, and you now will start the QNAP will start detecting motion on the camera itself. So these are quick features I just wanted to show you when setting up QVR Pro. Some pro tips as well that I've included here, just when setting up QVR Pro. All right, so next, I'm gonna show you the actual QVR Pro client where you can be actually looking at the camera, right? So let's log into QVR Pro. All right, so here's QVR Pro client. This is where you can be looking at your cameras. You're looking at looking at your cameras, looking at playback as well, and all of that as well. So just a quick overview of that. So you can see I have a fisheye camera connected with QNAP. Another advantage of having a QNAP NAS or QVR Pro recording your camera is when you have a fisheye camera, you can actually create different streams. So I'm going to show you a full screen of that particular camera, right? This is a fisheye camera that's looking inside a room, right? Now it's going to be really hard to actually see what's going on, right? But with fisheye camera, with QNAP, QVR, and fisheye camera, you can actually create multiple streams of this. This all stream are coming up from a single fisheye camera. With single fisheye camera, you can actually look at different parts of the room without having to buy an additional camera for that particular location. So you can actually create another regional DWARP, and you can see and you can browse where that DWARP would be, or where you want to point that particular section of that. So right here,
focus.
Yeah, where you want to focus, exactly. So where do you want to focus this particular camera? You can actually move all the way inside the room, and then and if you see this region will get moved. And you can also do this within the playback. So if you forgot to create a regional section, you can actually always go back and playback and create a regional section as well. So that's another feature that QNAP offers. Another thing that QNAP offers is motion detection. So whenever there's motion detection, you will see that here. Also, there'll be a pink bar right here. You can just click on the preview here first. You want to see if you want to play back that, or you can just click on this button and QNAP will quickly jump to that event, and you can see you can play back that particular event. So another feature that QNAP offers. Quickly, I want to go back here, and if you want to play back something, if you want to go play back something on a different date, just select the calendar and select that date, and then click on playback, and it will start playing back from that date. You can also, if you want to copy this, or if you want to give this to another person, you can just select what date and time, and then and export recording, and it will do export recording, and then you can do all recordings, so just event recordings as well, and do that as well. So those are the features that QNAP offers on the QVR Pro client. I want to show you another part of it called eMaps. So let me log out to another section of another site. So if you have a floor plan of your building, you can actually add that into QVR Pro and then add your cameras on that floor plan. So you can actually, instead of looking at where the camera is, you can see your floor plan and just double click on the camera, and it'll show that particular camera. And then you can also, if you have created a view, you can go back, double click on that view, and it will create that particular view, going back as well right here. And then again, you can just pop up on the screen as well. Instead of looking at full screen, you can see what camera is looking at what. So you can also do that as well with QVR Pro. You can play back recording. Everything else is supported. I want to show you another another site, just showing you a live view of a camera that one of our customers have installed. So give me a few seconds while I switch another site. So And right here, we can see that the connection has been restored, connection interrupted. So you also get these notifications as well. So in case there's a camera that's having a problem, you can also quickly look at what's going on. From the QVR Pro, you can see their live installation of a car dealership right here. And the customer has created a different types of views. You can see service shop, so or service manager, or what the service manager would look into as well. You can see right now, sorry about the delay, but these are coming from the East Coast, so there's some internet issues or a delay, so there'll be some delay here. Also, this laptop is working hard to show you that. See the
A little too hard. There's smoke coming out of this thing.
You can see a different types of view, and you can lock them as well, so nobody can change that view. And this also, and then you can provide this this view to your to each individual users as well. So if there's a service guy that's looking at just the service cameras, he can just view them, and also you can stop them to play back as well. So you can just view the camera, and then you can create a special view for him, and you can only view that particular view. And you also cannot change it as well. So see, and he has a lot of cameras on this installation, up to 44 cameras of this installation, and you can see the CPU usage of the server is only at 60%. Sorry, that's the CPU usage of the server, and RAM usage. So you can see how even after 44 camera installation, the CPU usage is quite low on that camera as well. So then you can see live view of the installation. If you want to double click on a certain view and you want to look at live as well for that view, full screen, you can double click on it and it will show you full screen. Oh well, there's snow there. Oh, right.
Proof they were on the East Coast.
Exactly. And so that's a live installation of one of our customers' site. We are running a bit late, so I'm gonna quickly go through the next part, which is.
So we'll dive into part 2. So this is stay on top of all your QVR servers with QVR Center. So we're gonna talk a little bit about management here.
Right. QVR Center is our application to allow you to manage all different types of server, especially if you are MSP and you have a lot of installations, a lot of different QVR Pro installations. You can use QVR Center to manage all of them in a single view. And also now with QVR Center 2.0, we now support failover. So, and also if you remember, if you've been following QNAP QVR Pro since the beginning, we used to have something called QVR Guard. We actually still have that, but that app will now no longer be supported because now everything is moving to QVR Center. Now QVR Guard, if you remember, is one-to-one failover system. So if you have, let's say if you have 2 of these units, you can actually set up QVR Guard between 2 of these units, and then if one server fails, it will switch over to the second server, so your recordings do not stop recording. So it will once the cameras are switched or servers are switched, the QNAP will start recording on the new server. So that's the QVR Guard. But the only drawback of that software was it's one-to-one system. So it's you cannot have one QVR Guard for multiple different servers. That was now updated with QVR Center 2.0. Now you can actually have one backup server, one failover server for multiple of your QVR installation. So if you have like maybe 10 of these at a large site, you can actually use sorry about that. You can actually use one QNAP QVR, one of these additional server as failover for all of those 10. So in case if one of them fails, it will fail over to the additional server. But then it's only gonna accept one server. If you have 2 failures, it's not gonna be able to accept both of them. So you only have, it can only fail over to one server. So first I'm gonna show you server management quickly. So to add a server, you can just say QVR Pro, or just name whatever name you want for the server, and you can also do QVR Elite, the old QVR server, as well as the serverless station that we had before. So, and then enter the IP address. So let me find out the IP address, and enter the port number, the username and password for that server. And you can also do search server as well, where you'll find the server within your network. Connect to always make sure that it's working. So I'm going to add my main QVR Pro server, and I've and I have another server that I'm going to use it for failover. So you have to add that additional server. Now, let me explain what happens when you do a failover server. So let's say, for example, I have this TVS 872XT that I'm going to be using for failover. So what you have to do is you have to install QVR Pro on that server using the App Center. And you have to create you cannot add any cameras. That the server has to be idle. You cannot do any kind of recording in that server. It has to be the idle server. The only thing you have to do is go to recording space and ensure that you have at least the recording space of the main server. The main server was 500 gigabytes. I had added the 500 gigabytes of that space. You can add more, but you have to have minimum of that space that was on the main server. So once you have done that, you can go add that. You have to also add that addition the backup server. So I'm just gonna say backup server and enter the IP address of that. You can actually have QVR Center on a different server, and then QVR, and then you can actually have a backup server on a third server. So QVR Center can be a different server. It don't have to be the same server. I'm just using it. I would recommend using QVR Center if the installation is not that big. You can actually use this because you can actually use the same server for QVR Center and QVR backup server. So eliminating the need of multiple servers. So once you've added that, ensure that you connect. Oh, it's not QVR Elite. I forgot about that. So you have to make sure that you select the right server and hit connect. That should work. And hit OK. 52. Yep, I will add it. And then now the first thing I'm going to show you some examples of QVR Center. QVR Center allows you to add, allows you to see what's going on with all of your servers. You can add a widget to see what's going on. Let's say if I want to see all my motion events on one single page, you can actually select that. If you want to see motion events from only certain views, you can select that here on the QVR Center. You can select what group you want it to be, and then you can select just I'm going to see only motion events. So we'll show you all the motion events from all the QVR Center, and then click add, and then it will start showing you motion events from all the servers. So and then you can add multiple widgets as well if you wanted to. So that's another feature that QVR Center offers. And then also you can when you go to QVR Pro client, you can actually now look at multiple servers from all. You can see cameras from all the servers. So the QVS client that you see for the client itself is going to be very similar to QVR Pro client for each server, but this just gives you the cameras you can see will see from all the servers. So right here you can see that 2 available servers, and then it will show you cameras from both the servers. So you can actually add cameras from different servers. You can actually add cameras from different servers into the single view, and you can actually select that. You can save that view if you wanted to. I think I have some video card issues right here. Let's see.
Your laptop.
Laptop there. All right, so let's look at the main server.
All right.
All right, that works better. That's my main screen. So all cameras. And hit OK. Now, when you play back something, you can actually play back from all the servers together. So you don't have to go to each individual servers. You can play back from all different servers, and that's the advantage of QVR Center, right? It shows you all the cameras in a single view. So once you have done that, once you've created a view, go back here, and now you can actually add a widget for that particular view, and then say I want to have see the widget I create. I'm sorry, the view I created would show up right here, and it was and then you can see the duration of that widget. How many motion events were there for that particular event? Motion reporting, and then click add. And now we'll show you motion recording just for that particular event, and then you will see for last 7 days or last few hours, and it will show you all of that on a single page for that view. So you can create multiple views and create multiple widgets matching those views, and then you can actually create multiple groups as well for different types of servers. So you can actually have different types of server, different type of widgets as well for different groups. So going back to the server, and then you can also create multiple users as well. So you can create a new user, and then let's say the guard that will be sitting at the main desk. So you can and then you can specify what he can do. So you can what cameras he can see, what emaps he can view, and what views they can access. So you can also control that as well. You can also do preview management. So you can he preview all of these settings or not? So you can also do that as well. So you can have a very granular control on what the guard can do when accessing QVR Center. So that's another feature. You can also see the logs from all the QVR servers, the surveillance logs, as well as the QVR Center. QVR Center just shows you what's going on with the QVR Pro itself. So if there's any issues, the QVR Pro turned off, updated, or there was any issues with recording, it will show up right here. But for surveillance logs, it will show you all the event recordings, all of that features as well for surveillance logs. So that's another feature. But what I want to show you today, I'll focus on this. The new feature that we have is called failover management. So failover management, as I mentioned, you can actually now have multiple servers failover to, you can actually have multiple servers looking at one single server for failover management. So first of all, you want to add your main recording server, right? So, right. So going back, server management, you have to always make sure you check this box, advanced mode, so they can be added to the failover management system. So once you have done that, go back to failover management. So your main server will be under recording server. That will be the recording server, right? So that's the main server that you have right here. And once it's done configuring, you want to have a standby server itself. So the standby server right here, and apply. So, and as I mentioned, you can now add multiple recording servers to be able to have a failover management server. Once it's done configuring, so what happens is that if this, let's say for example, if this was the main server, let's say the network failed, or the QVR Pro itself turned off, QNAP will start doing would start switching over to the 872XT for it to record. So the 872 would now be your main QVR Pro client or QVR Pro server, and all the cameras will start recording on the 872XT. You have to enable this to ensure that it's started or it's doing the failover management. The one rule or thumb of rule is the failover server has to be either the same or better. So for example, I have the main server is 472XT, better the 872XT. So either you have to have another 472XT or an 872XT, which is a better processing power than the 472XT to be a failover. You cannot add a lower spec NAS to be a failover server.
Downgrade.
Yeah, you cannot downgrade. Okay. So you have to always make sure that it's better than the main server to be able to do failover. So once you have done that, enable failover protection, and now you can just, if you want to test it, just unplug the power supply for the 472XT, and then it will start failing over to the 872XT. Now the failover does take a few minutes.
Yeah, just to make it, so if you wanted to fail over, you had a 472XT.
Yeah.
You can't fail over to another 472XT. It has to be a
no, you can do it.
Okay.
So either same or
equal or better. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Equal or better. So, but just cannot be a lower spec
device. Like a 432.
Yeah, 432 or something like that.
Gotcha.
Or 453B or something like that. So,
okay.
So that's the new feature that we have on failover management. So that's the quick overview of QVR Pro, or sorry, QVR Center. Hopefully you guys get a good idea of what QVR Center would be. And the last part before we move on to the Q&A.
All right, and also let me emphasize, we have our chat feature on on the top. If you have any questions during any of the presentation, any of the sessions, please feel free to type in your questions. I'll be happy well, both of us will be happy to answer your questions on the chat on the top, the icon on the top. Just go ahead and click on that and answer any questions you have. So we'll dive into part 3, which is how to build a smart facial recognition system with the QNAP NAS using QVR Face. So talk a little bit about QVR Face feature, and let's dive into that.
All right.
And we're back on schedule.
Almost, yes.
Almost.
Yeah. So QVR Face is our new facial recognition software that we have for QVR Pro, or that is added. That's an added feature on a QVR Pro suites of surveillance software. So what it does real-time facial recognition and analytics. So it will actually show you what the name of the individual person. You can also do age as well as emotion as well, and also do mask detections. If the person is not wearing mask properly, you can also be notified using that as well. So that's another feature that we have. Again, it does real-time video analytics, and also it does you can also do multiple channel as well. So if you have multiple cameras you want to do facial recognition on, we also support that as well. And you can create multiple profiles for each individual employees or users for doing facial recognition as well. Now, we have some examples of using facial recognition applications is attendance management. You can do attendance management. You can actually have a camera at the door to see who's coming in or who's going out. You can also do door access as well. You can actually open the door when the correct face is detected. So it will open the door for that. If you have an access control from a third-party unit, we have a compatible list of access control. Look for QVR door access, and it will give you more information as that. You can also do retail space as well, so you will recognize faces on retail space as well. As I mentioned, door access management, it will open the door for you as well. And also for the retail space, as I mentioned, a quick example I can give you is you can actually recognize unregistered spaces. So if they're a new customer, it'll be unregistered. But if you see a face recognized, you can register them if it's a frequent customer. And you can when you have a frequent customer that comes into the store, you can actually get notified on your QVR Face software, and you can actually you can actually provide him better service because if it's since he is a customer that constantly comes back, or a repeat customer. So you can also do that as well if you wanted to as well.
All right. Looks like we had a quick question from George. Does door management work with standard access control systems?
Right now, the only currently we support is HUNDURA, and the model number is RAC 960 and RAC 2000. If you have if you want to have another system to be compatible with your with our QVR door access, you can actually submit a ticket on our website on helpdesk.qnap.com, and then provide us with the specification of your door access you wanted to have it compatible, and we can see if we can work it out for you. QVR Pro and QVR Face are very open systems that can be integrated to many different APIs. So as long as you have an API access from your door controller system, we can actually add that into our system, and I can start using door access with the new control. So, but right now we have from HUNDURA systems, and the 2 model numbers are listed right here.
Question.
Going back to the landing page before we move on to live demo. Now I'll open up the page. Now we have 3 different versions of QVR Face. We have QVR Face Insight, QVR Face Link, and then QVR Face Tiger. Now the main difference is accuracy. Now QVR Face is very high accuracy software, but that can be run on a mid-grade system like an Intel Celeron system. QVR Face Link is the highest recognition accuracy, where it has the best accuracy out of all the 3 applications, but it has to have a high-end system like an Intel iCore series and better. So high hardware requirements. And then the Face Tiger is a lower hardware requirement system that can do fast recognition, but the accuracy is quite low on that as well. Sorry about the noise.
We got a
Few minutes.
little disruption outside with our gardeners. So we're live here in our office. So anything kind of goes.
Yes.
At least it's not trash day. It's 1 second as a leaf blower passes by.
All right, sorry about that again. So as I mentioned, you can run here on some specifications. As I mentioned, the face inside and tiger can be run on a lower end system like a Celeron system, but the link has to be on a higher end system like an iCore, and also the speed of recognition is going to be slower on the face link because it does, as I mentioned, higher accurate facial recognition. So for today's demo, I'm going to do facial recognition from for Insight. So again, the app is available on our website. So look for QVR Pro or QVR Face. Walk it right here. And then you can, once you have installed the application, you have to create a task. Now for camera, you can even if you have a QVR Pro installation, you can just grab a camera from that QVR Pro, one of the cameras from your QVR Pro. But if you don't have QVR Pro, but you want to use QVR Face by itself as a standalone application, you can do RTSP streaming. So if you have a camera that does support RTSP streaming, just select that, enter that information, and it will start recognizing it just from the RTSP streaming. Now, if you have a QVR Pro installation, which I'm going to show you in this demo, you can just select that, and then you can do general for like retail stores, which are more general facial recognition. You can just select general, but for strict like access control, attendance management, we recommend strict. You can do gender detection, age detection, the mask has been worn, or emotion detection as well. Those are all supported on that as well. And then let's say hit next. Once you have done that, enter the IP address of that QVR Pro server. Mine is a local server, so I'm just going to enter my local server information. Hit next, and I will show you all the streams that can actually support facial recognition. So I'm going to select one of the cameras right here, and you can select any, and also different type of stream as well. So once you have selected that, hit next. And now, once you have created the task, it will start recognizing, it will start analyzing the video for more facial recognition. So if there's somebody coming in front of this camera, it will start recognizing the face. Now, you can also create events as well. Now, events is where you want to get notified of something that's happening. Now, if you have QVR Pro installation, you can actually be notified via QVR Pro. You can also record another camera from QVR Pro. So to do that, you have to go to QVR Pro, go to event rules, and click on add. Say unknown face if you want to detect unknown face, and also do schedule based as well. You have to add an action or event, and then choose event URL. When you choose event URL, it'll just be a link that will given to you.
Really quick, Judge had another quick question. Does QVR Face need to run on the same server as QVR Pro, or can it be on a separate server?
So it can be a separate server. It doesn't have to be on the same server. You can select whichever server you want it to. So once you have selected, once you have copied that link, you can go back to QVR Trace and select the event rule and enter that event or enter that particular URL. And why do you want to get notified? So I'm going to say I just want to get unregistered people, or you can also do event notification based on age, gender, if the person is wearing a mask or not. So you can also do you can also get notified if there's a registered person that entered the building as well. But I'm just going to select unregistered and apply. So if there's any unregistered person coming in here, what do you want to do? You want to record certain cameras? You can do that as well. Or you're gonna get alarm notification, as I mentioned, all of the other features that I mentioned. Camera, if you have a PTZ camera, it'll move around. You can get push notification. You can do email notification as well. So you can do all of that if there's an unknown face getting detected. So that's how QVR Pro and QVR Face can work together to give you a better handle of what's going on with your office and with facial recognition. So you can make your surveillance a very smart installation of surveillance. Going back to QVR Pro, another thing, you can also get reports. So you can actually, when you have attendance report, you can actually see what's going on. You can also get logs from it as well. And then here you can actually create profiles. You can actually add the from live detection. So you have to add the person's picture, right? So there's two ways you can actually start adding people, right? So if you want to register some people, you can install QVR Face and then just wait for a few days, see how many people it detects, and it will come up here as unknown people, and you can just add them into your database. Or you can prematurely create profiles. So you can say profile key could be anything like my license number or anything like that, and then my name, description. If you can actually add categories like marketing or anything like that, and add a profile picture. You can ask myself or Deval to stand in front of the camera and then take a picture of that. And I would recommend doing different angles so it can get a better accuracy of your face. You can also upload his own picture from local computer, or you can actually add a NAS or webcam or of that computer. So you can have the wall come in front of the computer. If you have a webcam, you can just add a webcam and it'll start adding pictures and also as well. And then apply. So once he's added, so whenever the wall comes in front of the camera or when I go in front of the camera, I'll be registered and it will show my name, my age, my gender in front of that camera.
All right, another question here. Is there a plan to attach the Active Directory or something?
That's actually a very good question. I'm not really as of now, there's no plan, but that's actually a good feature request I can take personally as a method to add them. Right now, the users cannot be imported out of Active Directory, but that's actually a good feature. I would actually take that as a feature request to myself. I'll add that, and I will ask the developers to see if there's a way to integrate Active Directory into your QNAP NAS. So here I'm going to give you a very brief, quick overview of QVR Pro, QVR Face with QVR Pro working before we move on to the Q&A session, the first Q&A session. So here I have a QVR Face. So when you have QVR Face running on your QNAP NAS, and you have QVR Pro as well as also running as well, you can actually now use something called facial recognition to recognize to now search for people as well, or of a camera that had that person in that particular view. So let's say I'm going to add an example of a person that we have on our office, and then the name will pop up to ensure that it's the same person you're searching for. Hit search, and it will show you the results of that particular person in that list. So it's like motion detection. You will see all that. You will see like a list of motion that had that particular person. You can just click on here, and then it will start playing back the recording where the person was detected. You can go back another time, and another camera can also have that person detected, so you can actually see that as well. So that's how you can actually use QVR Pro and QVR Face together to give you a very good, very advanced surveillance system for your QVR Pro installation. Another question we have is, can we track it? Now, that feature we are requesting. As of now, we cannot track it throughout the building. This is a good question to ask. So, can we track that person? I'm going to ask this as a feature request. Now, the only problem with tracking is that now you have to have QVR Face task for each of that camera. Right now, remember, it's doing off of one camera. This is just one camera that I've created a task in the QVR Pro Face. So if you have a very powerful system, you can actually use for that system, actually add certain cameras in your building. Not all cameras, because that will be very resource consuming, because each camera has to do analytics, right? So you have to, maybe it's a large building, you have certain cameras at key points like exit points or entry points. Maybe those cameras can be added as your QVR Face. So you can actually add those cameras within you can create multiple tasks from different sources for each exit entry points. And then actually, you know what? You can actually track it. So there's another way to track it. It's not an official way, but you can actually add those cameras right here in the task and just search for that person. It will actually show up that person from all the camera it got detected in. So yes, that's actually kind of a tracking method. The only thing you have to do is, as I mentioned before, you have to add all those cameras that you want to be tracked on into the QVR face and create individual tasks for that particular where do you want to get tracked. So all the exit entry points, you can add them in the QVR face here, and then go back to QVR Pro once you have joined it, and then just search for that person or the unknown person, and they'll actually show you all the events that you can actually
that person was tracked.
Found, or found, basically. That's another method of tracking, but I'm gonna see if there's a way to improve the tracking method, an official tracking method. But you can do kind of a face tracking onto your building. So yeah, that's a feature. Actually, we are going over time, so let's open up the first Q&A session for hopefully a couple of minutes, and then if you guys have any further questions, just feel free to ask during this particular session.
You can ask during the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask any questions. We're going to open up the floor for another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll get into part 4 if anybody has questions. If not, we can just move it on along. All right, we'll also have another Q&A at the end, so if any questions pop up from now till then, please feel free to ask away. We'll just keep the floor open for another minute or so. Again, you can ask your question in the chat, or you can ask your question, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Well, we have another question called, does all cameras have multi-stream? So actually, no, not all cameras will have multi-streaming. Only certain cameras will have multi-streaming. So if you're sharing a screen, right? So can you open up a page?
Yeah.
Now, when you want to decide what camera you want to use for QVR Pro, you have to ensure that that is a compatible camera. We highly recommend that to have a compatible camera. So we have a list of all the compatible cameras from over 150 brands. Select any brand, maybe Axis. Yeah, we have a lot of cameras from Axis. Just go down. Scroll down.
Oh, there we go. It'll tell you motion detection, PTZ, or alignment.
Yeah, so it will go down. Yeah, so go see, go down a little bit. So you see, you're now. So certain cameras, if there are multiple streams supported, you will see the list of streams that are supported. If it's just one stream, or if there's nothing listed, maybe it's not supported. So if you wanna take advantage of the feature that I was talking about, ensure that that is a compatible camera first, and then second, it supports multiple streaming. So you see there's 3 streams right there. Right next to it. Yeah, that's 3 streams. So that the camera can actually support multiple streams, up to 3 streams. Some camera supports 2 streams, some camera supports 3 streams. So so here is a great way to plan your installation if you don't have a cameras already in that in your location.
So I'll tell you bit rate, maximum streams. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And also, if the camera does have motion detection or not, there's another way to find out if the camera supports motion detection. Also, if it has
it'll give you by category too. You just click on it. If you want to see all the motion detection cameras, click on that and it'll tell you all the cameras that have it.
Are PoE cameras supported? Would you attach the QNAP to a PoE uplink port on the PoE switch? PoE cameras, yeah, we have a lot of PoE cameras actually all of the cameras, most of the cameras are PoE cameras. So there's two methods to do PoE cameras. You can purchase one of our PoE switch. If you have a PoE switch on an existing network port, or you can just connect to one of the external ports. If you have an as I mentioned, I think you said PoE uplink port. You can actually, if you have an uplink port, connect the QNAP NAS to that uplink port, and QNAP will start recording all those PoE cameras. Or you can, if you don't have an uplink port, let's say if you have a 16-port PoE switch. Remember, you can actually connect regular network devices on a PoE port. So if you have a PoE system or PoE camera or PoE switch, and you have a 16-port PoE switch, you have 14 PoE cameras, and you have 2 extra ports. You can actually connect the QNAP NAS to one of the ports, And then there you go. Now and the QNAP NAS can record all of the 14 cameras, no problem. So you don't have to have an uplink port. If you have an uplink port, that's great, because that could be a high-speed uplink port, maybe a 10G uplink port. QNAP can connect that. Or as I mentioned, we have our own PoE switches now, so you can actually purchase one of our PoE switches. This one we have right here, and Eric was just gonna go through that, and this is a PoE device. I'm gonna show you in a few minutes.
Okay, so I'll dive into this.
Just give me one more minute. I think
sure.
Just in case if you have a follow-up questions or anything. Yeah. Any other questions before we start the next session? How many free licenses camera comes with QVR Pro? QVR Pro comes with 8 licenses on your NAS, but that is limited to 14 days of recording. So that we have a trial period. So unlike other manufacturers that can provide you with unlimited recording, but they can only provide you for 2 days or 2 cameras, QVR Pro can actually now provide you with 8 free licenses. So a lot of cameras you can actually record for free, and up to 14 days. So you have actually 2 weeks of recording. You can actually go back. Some customers don't require more than 2 weeks, or even the hard drive that they have in the NAS cannot record more than 2 weeks. So you can actually potentially get 8 free cameras without purchasing an additional license. But if you want to get additional for more than 14 days of recording, we have a license that is now actually will be that's the $99 license that you can purchase, and it's called Unlimited Playback Pack. Once you purchase that license, you can get unlimited playback for 8 cameras just for $99. So that's another great feature. And the last question we have is, can I search for motion recording after the fact? Yes, you can. Since we are running a bit late, I'm gonna save that question towards the end. I'm gonna show you how to do motion recording after the fact. So we're gonna stop the Q&A for now. You can keep adding the Q&A if you want to. We'll just keep answering them as we go, or towards the last Q&A session.
Yeah, if you have any questions in the chat, if we don't get to them right away, we'll get to them at the second Q&A. But we'll get through them. We'll try to get through them in real time, but sometimes we'll get a little bogged down, and we'll have to wait till the next Q&A. But we'll please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We will get to them before the end of the workshop today. So now we're diving into part 4. Learn how you can build a cost-optimized intelligent IP surveillance with QVP41B. So this is a pretty unique solution. It's our NVR server and PoE switch, what makes it really easy to build a surveillance network solution. It supports real-time video and audio monitoring, high-resolution recording, and playback from multiple IP cameras. It's compatible with pretty much it supports thousands of cameras from about 150 different brands out there. All the major brand manufacturers, it supports their cameras. Has a built-in HDMI port and for standalone monitoring. It supports 4 3.5-inch SATA drives. So you got 4 hard drives in there, 3.5-inch drives, which can support up to, right now, I think depending on what drives, but I'm thinking like 20 terabytes. To be on the safe side, we're looking at about 20 terabytes per drive. So you got 20 terabytes, you got 16 30-watt gigabit PoE ports on the back. Let me just kind of scroll down here just to show you the interface on the back. You got 2 RJ45 combo ports, and you got 2 2.5 gig host management ports. So it provides a pretty big, extensive storage with high-speed networking to meet the requirements of any type of business environments for large or small for monitoring. Let me rewind the tape here. So what's the difference between a QVP41B and other NAS-based surveillance systems? So in a conventional NAS, surveillance is just one of the many things that a NAS can do. And as all these applications share all the different resources of a NAS, you got your RAM, you got your CPU, and your storage space as well. The surveillance performance could be impacted if you're running a ton of apps. Some people are running virtualization, some people are running a lot of CPU extensive applications. So if you're not using something dedicated for your surveillance, it could affect your performance. So with the QVP, how it overcomes the QVP41B, how it overcomes this, it provides dedicated storage and also reserves pretty much the full system resources for surveillance. So you have your dedicated box, and you also have your PoE integrated PoE switch in the back. So it gives you the functionality and support for connecting all kinds of all your PoE cameras and devices. It also comes with built-in camera channel licenses and essential applications to enable local installation without requiring an internet connection. So you could connect to this as a standalone solution. You don't need to connect it to the network, but if you want to have remote access for monitoring on the go, of course you'd want to connect that to the network. So basically, I mean, with this box, you just install your hard drives and you power it up and connect your cameras, and you're ready to roll. So it's a really cool, unique solution that we offer from QNAP here. Kind of gives you the best of both worlds of switch and network. I'm sorry, switch and storage together. Let's dive into a little bit about, all right, we talked about the interface here. And I mean, this is ideal for, you got a customer out there who doesn't have much space, like a retail space or convenience store, and wants to have, 2 devices in one. This is a great solution for that. Again, it supports, it's compliant with IEEE 802.3 AT PoE Plus standard. Again, I mentioned it has 16 ports with 30-watt gigabit PoE capabilities. It can supply a total power budget of 140 watts to meet the demands of all different types of 4K and PTZ cameras that are ONVIF compliant or high-power devices. The QVP41B supports intelligent PoE management functions, including you can do scheduling, you can do power supply prioritization, and you can enable and disable power as well. You can obtain real-time network connection status and power consumption information of PDs and configure your PDs simultaneously to promote an energy-saving PoE network. So this is, I mean, it's a pretty cool solution. It's again, it doesn't give you, I mean, if you have a NAS, I mean, it's a great solution. But if you're running multiple applications, I mean, this is your way to go. And again, we're compatible with a ton of cameras, all the major camera manufacturers, about 150 different brands, thousands of cameras, as you saw on our compatibility list. Whatever brands out there, we're compatible with them. If not, it also supports ONVIF. So it's a great solution. You can check it out on our website, QVP41B. And yeah, that's what we got. Any questions on that? Please feel free to ask away. If not, we'll dive into our next part of our presentation.
Yeah, but before we do that, just want to show you the back of the QVP. You can see all the PoE ports on the back. So this is an installation where you don't require to have an additional PoE camera, PoE switch. You can just plug the cameras right directly on the back of the. You can just bring all the back of the cameras, the cables directly to the back of this particular device, and then there you go. You now have. We have cameras turned on, right? Let's be sure.
I'm not sure. I didn't see it. We had a couple of questions here. How many licenses? We got that already. Can I search for motion recording?
No, we already found
right. Are you able to add it?
Can you stop sharing the screen? I think that's what.
All right.
Oh, so now okay. There you go. Now we. There we go. Okay. So there you go. So you have the PoE ports right here. You can actually connect all the PoE cameras directly to this particular 16 port. And the question we had, I'm just going to answer that right here, is called, are you able to add and expand the PoE with another switch? You can actually connect another additional switch to this, sacrificing one of the ports, or you can actually have one of the SFP plus port. If the other switch has SFP plus, you can actually just connect them together. Or you can just connect the camera. It's just a regular switch basically. You can add another switch by using the 16th port to the 15th port of the of the NAS of this particular switch, and then add additional PoE cameras if you wanted to. This device is all-in-one serverless solution. Again, it supports up to 8 licenses, unlimited playback for those 8 licenses, and you can add them. All of the features that I showed before, it's all supported with this particular device. You don't need to, like as mentioned, motion detection, all of that as well. But the great part is the HDMI port. Now, the HDMI port allows you to connect an HDMI monitor and see what's going on with your camera. So you don't need to buy. You don't actually potentially you don't need to have a computer at that location just to look at your camera, right? With other manufacturers, you have to have a computer plugged into the network to see your cameras live, right? But with the QVP device, basically, the HDMI port will allow you to connect a monitor and just look at, and it's a 4K monitor, so extremely high resolution for all your camera needs. You can see what's going on with all your cameras just at the location. The USB port allows you to add a keyboard and mouse to to control the to view, to add additional view, to playback. You can play back the videos as well. You can do all of that with the QVP device. With PoE function, you can actually turn off the camera and turn it back on. So why would you do that, right? It's a great troubleshooting method right from your desk, right? Sometimes when the PoE camera does not work, the PoE switch may not have the ability to turn on and off online, right? A PoE switch, most of the PoE switch are dumb PoE switches, right? They cannot be logged into. But this one, you can actually go to QVR Pro. There's a button that you can use to turn off the camera and then turn it back on. It's basically just unplugging the camera and plugging it back in, but without having to physically go to the switch to unplug the cable and plug it back in. You can do right from your desk. Because this can be remotely accessed, you can do all of that right anywhere from anywhere in the world, because you can actually access this remotely. You can do anywhere in the world, or if you're in the same location, you don't have to go to a physical device to do that. You can just sit right at your desk and do it remotely. So that's another great feature that QNAP offers with this. This is a very unique device. Not a lot of manufacturer offers this for you. We do provide you with two 2.5 gigabit networking port that is separate from the switch. Why do you want to do that? Remember, you have a 16 port PoE switch, right? If you have all the 16 cameras connected to this particular NVR, what happens is that, and especially when you have a high resolution cameras, right? 2 megapixel, 4 megapixel, 5 megapixel cameras, if you go through your network, it's gonna really slow down the whole network, because remember, there's a lot of traffic from all these cameras coming into this particular NVR, especially for 16 port NVR. What you can actually do is you can connect the cameras to the 16 port and then connect your office network into the 2.5 gig port. The NVR will keep them separate. Will keep your switch separate from your office network. So when you're streaming with, let's say nobody's logged in, right? You're looking at your cameras through the HDMI port. The QNAP will not even touch your office network. And all the cameras will have its own separate network, right? That's another feature that we offer, is that your camera will always be on its own network. They will not be able to they will not be streamed through your network. It will have its own separate network. So that's another great feature that this device offers. Also, even when you're logged in online and you're trying to stream through the network port, it's not gonna be because remember that we don't stream on high resolution unless you ask for it, right? So when you're streaming through your computer, it's not gonna be blocking down the network, because it's not streaming all 16 cameras at one time, and also not the highest resolution. So again, that's another great feature that we recommend as well. People who have been installing DVRs for many years, they know the simplicity of this devices, because DVR installation, if you remember, just bring a coax cable from the camera directly to the back of the DVR, and there you go. But when the NVRs were introduced, it got a little bit there was a learning curve, right? You have to understand how the switch works, how to connect the switch to the actual NVR. Those were some of the learning curve. But with this device, everything those you don't have to worry about it. It just goes back to the DVR installation days, right? But with advanced surveillance system, right? Again, going to the camera, bringing the cable directly from the camera to the back of the NVR. There you go. And then you can use QVR Pro to search for the camera, and the search camera will be online. That's it. Everything is online now. So no need to do complex networking anymore. Connect the cameras to the back of the NVR. Everything now starts working. So now we are very proud of this particular device. We're the few manufacturers that actually, I don't even remember we have another device that something like this. We are very few manufacturers, and also our NVR has 4 hard drives in the front, so you can actually have a RAID 5 system in the front with 4 hard drives, and then you can install 20 terabytes on each. So potentially you can actually have a 60 terabyte of surveillance recording directly on this device, and all on one inbox. So people who have larger projects that you want to have that you're going to be repeating a lot, maybe a restaurant, a chain of restaurants. Like we have a user who uses our devices for like a chain of Subway restaurants. So you can install this and then you can just set up these devices at your location and just send it out to all these restaurants, and there you go. You just have to plug in the cables at the right ports. Everything is up and running. So, and also remember, each port is not fixed to an IP address. If the user does not know which cable goes to what, you just have to, the only thing he has to do is ensure the camera port is connected to the 16 port switch, and the office network connects to that to the top port, and that's it. So that's another great feature that the QNAP offers. You don't need to worry about where the cable goes. Everything else is taken care of by the QVP device. So, and it has a Celeron processor, Intel Celeron processor. It's a decently powerful processor and has 140 watt PoE PoE pool that has enough budget, or PoE budget I mentioned meant to say.
Power budget.
Yeah, power budget, so it can provide enough power for all your cameras and all your needs. So that is all I wanted to say about this device before we move on to our next section, which is our guest speakers. Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna invite our guest speaker, Chip Watchek. He's one of our longtime partners. He's a security surveillance, pretty much our security surveillance expert, and just wanted to see if Chip, you out there?
I am out there. Can you hear me? Hello.
I think you are muted.
No,
It doesn't seem to be muted.
I'm.
No, we can't hear you. I think the Logitech button probably has the.
Hello.
Hmm.
Hello.
Wait, let me check. Hello?
Oh, I just got a text that Pete hears me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. We can hear you now.
Okay, good enough.
All right.
So hello everybody. I am going to open up my first presentation. Mine's going to be a little bit more fun and less technical, but people ask me if it's possible to run more than 16 or 32 cameras on a system. Well, I'm going to show you something and this is running live right now on a system that is running currently 101 camera. Most of them are running 30 frames a second, and they are capable of playback, and I've got a lot of group views. This happens to be a manufacturing facility. I can tell you that do not expect to run this on a smaller QNAP system. If you need to run this many cameras or anticipating running this many cameras, you want to buy one of the bigger boxes. And if you look up here, my CPU usage with 100 cameras is 27%. Now, the maximum number of cameras on the current QNAP software is 128. Hopefully in the future, they will add more cameras to the system to allow up to 256, but that remains to be seen moving forward. But I could tell you this particular box would easily handle 256 cameras. And basically, I've got 16 gig of RAM. I would double it to 32 gig, and I'd be halfway into my processor. So when other manufacturers say they can run 128 cameras, I would ask you, show me a system that does that, because QNAP has already done that. So with that said, this facility is a coding facility that I have been working on for several years. And I'm going to show you some interesting things about this. One of the things that Deval went through was views. And so I will show you what the raw camera looks like. And in my case, it's a standard fisheye camera. And there's robots that are running right now. They're loading systems. But if I go in and I want to look at the view of that particular side of the line, there it is. And I've got the 4 individual views. Now, in addition to these 2 robots, which were just installed and became operational in August of this year, we've had several other ones. So I created another view that now that you can now look at all 16 robots. And the reason the line is stopped is in this lower corner here, there is somebody inside that room doing something. You can see the shadow. And so there he is. So they'll go back out there. There's a bunch of safety interlocks that are on the system. So something must have happened where they had to reset something. And again, once they close the door and reset it, the robots will all take off. But safety is a big concern in this company. We don't want anybody getting hurt. And unfortunately, although the robots are intelligent, they're not smart enough to stop when they hit somebody. So this is a fully integrated system. I don't know if you have any questions on a system this size. Deval could look at the chat more than I can. But I'm here to answer any questions that you have. And the nice thing about it is that I can scroll back on any particular camera. In fact, I'll do one that's got a lot of action. Hopefully, some of the stuff has been moved. Where's the doors at? Sorry for the, okay, yeah, we'll do this one here. And you can see how fast the system is. And I'm tied into this remotely. But what's nice about this system is if I want to know, somebody calls and says, somebody got hurt, I need to know what's going on. And this is, again, running live. I can go back up in here and I can quickly slide this bar back. I don't have to wait for anything and go, what happened at 7 o'clock this morning? And at 7 o'clock this morning, it's going to start playing this back. And that's how fast QNAP is. It is one of the fastest systems on the market today that can dictate. If they need me to snap a picture of something was on there, I go over there, click, slide this, go like this. Oh, sorry, go like this, capture it. It already has set my time. I can export that file very quickly in case somebody gets hurt or a fire happened or somebody broke into the building. I can very, very quickly go in without typing anything to go and grab that piece of information off that particular camera view and send it to whoever needs to have it right away. I'm also going to show you a few little fun things that have happened. And let me minimize this, go to this. And I'm going to explain something to you that happened. Now, this entire event took 54 seconds to complete. I have all of these images stored on this car dealership. And I'm going to play this back for you and let you see what happened. I'll explain what was going on. So this is a car, brand new Jeep that has been driven by a porter to come over and get license plates put on and some other things to the vehicle. This white car has been watching the parking lot for a period of time. And he drives into the parking lot, and I've got him on 2 separate views just in the incoming driveway. And then as he comes around, I grab him on another view of the camera, and you see him coming around the parking lot. And he's going to come around the back, and he's going to yes.
Sorry about that. Is there a video playing back? Because we only see the QVR Pro screen right now.
Yeah, there is a video playing back.
Do you have multiple monitors?
hang on a second. No, I'm doing this on my desktop.
Okay, does it have multiple screens?
No, it's got a just a regular screen on it.
Can you stop sharing and reshare the screen?
Yep, stand by. Media player.
Now we see the video.
Now we see the video.
Okay, sorry. I'll learn this. I'm thinking that this internet is going to be around for a while. I think it's going to stick around. Just saying. Anyways, so this is a brand new Jeep that is being delivered to a customer. So there's a porter coming around that's going to be putting the license plates on that vehicle. Now, during the past week, we found out that this particular car has been watching the parking lot. So we capture this car on a multi-view camera. This happens to be an Axis 180-degree camera. So we get the car coming in and coming out, and I was able to get enough resolution to read the license plate on that camera when I was able to zoom in. So the car comes around, and it's going to go follow that car that just went around the building. And you're going to see a little bit of overlap as far as the timeline is concerned. But remember that this is basically a 54-second camera. So here comes that new Jeep that's coming around, and then it's getting followed by the white vehicle, as you can see. And people ask why we put this many cameras up in a parking lot. Here's a perfect reason. So basically, car's coming around the back. It's going to go around. There's a car following it. Now the porter is going to park the car and get out. He has no idea that this other car is following him. So he gets out of the vehicle, walks in the building. Here comes the other vehicle. Watch what happens.
Oh, wow.
Car pulls away. Brand new Jeep is now leaving the parking lot. Again, we've got multiple cameras around the building and around poles and so on and so forth. And that car is gone.
Wow.
That entire event took 54 seconds. And this happens all over the country. So I wanted to show you why I put these higher powered QVR Pro devices on there. And one is the capability of being able to use many, many manufacturers. So in the installations that I do, I don't have to worry about cost per se. I would have to worry about functionality, because that car that just left was $65,000. Do you think they care about a $2,000 camera? The answer is no. So here's another event that you'll like. So watch this black car that's right here. And this is the owner of the vehicle.
Oh, whoa.
Oh.
Oh man, that was nerve-wracking.
Yes, it was. And then this here is from another angle. There's the go-kart coming out.
Poor guy, yeah.
And here it is coming around the corner.
Oh man.
Oh.
Throw him out of the cart.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's fully documented that golf carts don't stand a chance when hit by a car.
Yeah. Oh, poor guy.
So I wanted to show you why we have this many views from all the stuff that we do. Here's one other quick one. This is a brand new Hyundai dealership that decided, this lady that's standing right here, she's going to get in her vehicle. I edited this to shorten this up, but this was a $5 million remodeling of a Hyundai dealership, and she's going to get in her car, and she does something in her car, and I edited what she was doing in her car. And she comes back out, and she's really upset, and I don't know what she's upset about. So she exits the vehicle. She comes back over to the front desk. She's standing around for whatever. I don't know if she's yelling or not, but she's not clearly not happy. Goes around, and then she talks to the young lady that just got in the red car and starts yelling at her. And you'll see why in a minute, why she's yelling at her. She's kind of telling her, get out of the way, get out of the way. You'll love this part. This is priceless.
Oh.
I'm going to get out of here. I'm done. I'm going to go home.
Oh.
Trashes the car, trashes the stuff. Everybody's now going to run over and see what's going on, et cetera, get her out of the vehicle because the car starts smoking. It was steam. It was not a fire.
Yeah, she probably busted a radiator.
Yep. And the last one I'm going to show you is this one here. Oh, no, I'm going to show you two more. This one here is somebody else. This took approximately 15 seconds. The car's backing in. Nobody really knows what it is because they're kind of dressed like car porters. So they back the car in to the service drive. Watch this. Guy gets out of the car, jumps in that one, and the mechanic happened to catch him, and he runs out because he was trying to steal that car off the rack.
Yeah.
And the last one I'm going to show you, which is priceless, and it's a little longer, and that is there's a gentleman that's standing over by the wall, looking at his phone and walking toward his vehicle in the parking lot. He is completely unaware of his surroundings. I want you to pay attention to the black car that's in between the silver and white car. And this happens to be a porter that's trying to locate where this car is parked. And the way they do it is they hit the horn button. Well, guess what? They hit the start. They hit the start button. The car was in gear, and it decided to autograph the dealership wall. And people ask, why do we have this many cameras, and why do we have all of this stuff being recorded? Here's the perfect reason why.
And Chip, you should have your own caught on video TV show.
we probably have hundreds of things that happen in a just a dealership. When we go back to, and the other thing is, as far as the manufacturing facility that you saw, this one here, okay, which happens to be the QVR Pro stuff, basically, and you are seeing QVR Pro, right? That we are seeing that running.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have people who get injured. And the biggest thing is that we can very quickly go to any of these cameras, get a time slot of when the event happened, and I have at least 2 to 3 cameras of every space on this floor to capture it for injury, for recording, whether it be HIPAA compliance, whether it be OSHA, whether it be whatever, because I can't tell you how ugly manufacturing gets. But yes, you can see live running. I'm barely into the CPU. And that's important. So there's some real, and I'm sorry for the technical hiccups and everything else, but you can see that if you build the system correctly from the beginning, QNAP will take you very, very far in your installation, including expansion. So if there's any other questions?
Yeah, actually, you got a whole fan club full of questions here for Chip.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's go back to, let me scroll up here. Hold on one second.
So we missed can I search for motion recording after the facts? We're gonna skip towards the last. We're gonna have all the Chip's questions first. So he can be on his way, so we don't want to keep him busy for a while.
Here's one for Chip here. Question for Chip: How much HDD space do you have on a large unit? On the large unit?
Okay, this is a 16 bay QNAP, and each one of the bays started with 16 terabyte hard drives because that was the biggest we could get back in the day. They have now been replaced with 18 terabytes. We use 60% of the storage for just QVR Pro. We can expand it if needed, but we have other stuff that's running on this box for file storage and stuff for the VMs that the company computer system wants to back up. So we use the QNAP as a backup utility for the VMs.
Another question is, this is a question for Chip. How many cameras do you have running on one QVR Pro server? I think you said 100, right?
Well, right now there's 101 right now that are running. That's the 101st camera that's on there. This weekend we are hooking up 7 more, so there'll be 108. The capability on the system is 128, which is very easily capable with this piece of hardware. And because I'm doing another building across the parking lot, in fact, I can show that to you. Hold on 2 seconds here. Customer, where is it at? So customer parking, we'll show this view. This, if you take a look at where that building is on the left, we just took that building over. And the sorting department is now moved over there. So that those buildings are connected with fiber. I have another QNAP that's sitting over there running that has 40 cameras on it. And then I can basically combine the 2 cameras through QVR Center and allow various employees and or management be able to look at both cameras in both buildings on the same screen. So that's what the end result is going to be.
Perfect.
And Duvall, you should recognize that.
Yes, we were there. You were there about a couple of weeks ago, right?
A couple of weeks ago, yes. You guys were able to spend some time with me to tour the plant and saw what we were doing with the QVRs that are in there now. But yeah, so, and again, I can't emphasize, the higher the resolution on the cameras, the better off you're going to be. Because if I need to get the license plate number off that camera, I can go in and I can zoom in on that and get it. That's a bad angle, but I could say if I had a clear-on shot anywhere, I'd be able to get that license plate.
Perfect. I think 2 more questions. I think you answered this one, but just to be sure.
Sure.
Question for Chip is, how much HDD space you have on the large unit?
So
60
Right.
terabyte, right?
They're 18 terabyte, 16. There's quantity of 16, 18 terabyte drives. So do the math.
Okay, and then
300 plus. Enough.
And the last question for you would be, do you provide MP4 format or QVR Pro format when there's an event?
Ask the question again, Duvall.
I think the question wasn't. I think if you have still there, Yolanda, I think rephrase the question. But the question for Chip: do you provide MP4 format or QVR Pro format when there is an event? I think what she meant by is providing to, I guess, law enforcement or anything like that.
Oh, for law enforcement, it's MP4 because a lot of the police departments, fire departments, so on and so forth, are not. Let's just say they're technically challenged. They're not stupid, but they're technically challenged, and it's not because of them personally. It's because of what the government provides for them for playback, or what kind of computer they possibly have. MP4 seems to be universal, and that's what we send unless they specifically ask for something else.
Okay. And also maybe just to this is for myself as well. When there's a lawsuit, and then in the courtroom, MP4 would work as well.
Yes, that is correct. Absolutely.
Perfect. I think there are more questions. I think that should be it for all the questions for you. Thank you. Anything you want to add before we?
One other thing. My customers normally do not request how much storage does my QNAP have. They always relate to how many days do I have. In a manufacturing facility, we normally set between 21 and 30 days. We have this particular building set for 30 days, and after 30 days, it's first in, first out.
Okay.
I, as because of the number of cameras that are on this system, I reboot this box once every 30 days, just because I don't want to have anything go strategically wrong at the wrong time. So that's just a habit that I form. It's not required. I've got some boxes in the car dealerships that have been running a year with no reboot. So it depends on what the criteria is for that particular customer or client. And again, I can't emphasize more that you buy the biggest box the customer can afford, so that you can always add without going, oh crap, I'm out of CPU space. Oh crap, I'm out of RAM. And then have to go through all of the gyrations of either replacing the box with a higher powered one later or not. It's just easier to just charge the customer up front and get a bigger box to begin with.
Oh, understood. Yeah, makes sense.
That's my kind of practice that I've been doing. And I've got over 150 systems out there. So, you learn from experience.
Yes. Thank you so much again.
Hey, Chip, thank you. Thanks a bunch for joining us.
Not a problem. Anytime, guys. And if there's any information, you can send the emails to Deval and he can forward them to me, and I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, I think Eric will put down an email. You guys can just forward me the question. Any questions for us? Any questions for Chip? He's always there to answer all the questions for us, and I'll be able to communicate with him to get the answers for you guys.
Looks like Nolan had a question here. Does it record unlimited days or limited to 14 days?
You're limited by hard drive space.
No, I think it's more for the QVR Pro. Remember we had 8 free licenses. So we're now going through the questions which are just regular questions, I think.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. So unlimited days or 14 days. So again, the free licenses are 14 days limited. Then you can purchase the $99 unlimited playback pack where it'll remove that limit. But as Chip mentioned, if you have that limit, usually it's not unlimited. It's never unlimited. It's based off how much hard drive space you have. So it could, and also the resolution of the camera, the frame rate. A lot of factors go into play. We have a QVR Pro calculator that allows you to calculate how much hard drive space you may require, how much hard drive space it will use, so you can plan that out for yourself as well. Another question is, can I turn off the cameras using QVR and POV functions? As I mentioned before, yes, on the QVP, you can there's a button to turn off the camera and then turn it back on in case if you wanted to do that as well. Question for,
that was all of them.
Yeah, that was all the questions we had for today. Before we move on, I'm just gonna share quickly one because there's one question that I wanted to go back to. I think we have 1 more minute, and then before we move on, so I just want to share that screen first. The question was, can you do motion detection after the fact? So yes, you can do motion detection after the fact. We have a new feature we call as QVR AI pack, which again is a license-based function where you have to purchase a license for that feature to use. But once you've done that, you get a couple of additional features for your QVR. First is after the fact motion detection, and then also missing object detection, as well as foreign object and camera occlusion. So if let's say if you want to do motion detection, you can select the detection area and then select the last like how many hours and sensitivity, or you can select the start time and then select how many hours you want to search. QNAP will now go through that video and it will search for the missing object as well. Or sorry, the motion detection that happened for that 1 hour period, for the 1 hour period after what you selected. Another thing is you can also, let's say you can also do missing objects. So let's say if you want to find out when this table got missed or when it got disappeared from the screen. So you can select that particular pixel and hit the time you want to start from and how many hours you want to search for. And then hit start. QNAP will look through the video, and when the table gets missing, it will point out that video saying, oh, at this point the table got missing, and you can go back and see what happened. So these are the features that we now introduce, which is through the AI pack that we have on the QVR on the QVR Pro called QVR Smart Search. It's a license-based feature. You have to purchase license by going to software.qnap.com. So with that, we conclude our workshop for today. Thank you guys, everyone, for all the questions, great questions we had.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Chip, for joining us too. We really appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to have a follow-up email the next couple of days with if you have any questions, you can respond to us. It'll also have we'll have a link to the video today. And if I think that's about
it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chip, again, and thank you everyone for joining our workshop. You guys have a great day.
I'll catch you.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.